Hey YouTube, this is a I don't give a fuck how I look video, or how this is edited, or how this is uploaded. This is basically just a quick opinion on my part. I just now finished watching a video from the Amazing Atheist where he talks about Steve Shives, and basically they're arguing with each other at the moment. And it struck me so much of a contrast. See, originally when I started YouTube back in 2008, I was a Christian. And the Amazing Atheist was on YouTube, and I found him to be intimidating. He was very aggressive, he was very gruff looking, and he wasn't the type of person that I normally would have wanted to hear from. Hear about his opinions. On the other hand, Steve Shives seemed, I was watching his stupid things Christians say, stupid things atheists say, and he seemed to strike me as a very reasonable fellow. So I actually, despite personally being a Christian, I subscribed to him. Now it's the year 2016, and I am no longer subscribed to Steve Shives, but I am subscribed to the Amazing Atheist. It seems that they have switched in their style of YouTubing, where it seems now that the Amazing Atheist, maybe because he's a little older and he's not as passionate, he seems a little bit more reasonable than when he was younger. And Steve Shives, on the other hand, seems like he completely lost his mind. Like, he comes off like a complete lunatic. And here's my theory for these switches. I believe that the Amazing Atheist was very young, very defensive of his views. And so that made him a very strong, aggressive speaker, Whereas Steve Shives, probably by his nature, just didn't feel the need to speak with that tone. As the years progressed, I think that the Amazing Atheist mellowed out, and he learned that he doesn't need to always scream his opinions. He can simply state them, and people will listen. On the other hand, Steve Shives, I think what happened to him, I saw a very pivotal video a couple of months ago that was just so cringy, where he made a video with his wife. I don't think that is actually on his YouTube channel at the moment. I do believe that he deleted it, but it is still floating around the internet somewhere, and I'm sure if you do a search for it, you can find it. Where she basically, how when they put a witness on the witness stand and they say leading the witness to the attorney or the lawyer, they say you're leading the witness, objection, leading the witness. Well, that's exactly what I felt when Steve Shives appeared with his wife. She was literally feeding him his opinions that she decided that he should have. To the point of, she said, oh yeah, I'm getting on you for your choice of music. Now, there's one thing I know about relationships. I myself am married. If there's one thing that you should not have to ever change in your relationship just because you got married or met someone new, one thing about yourself you should never change is your choice in music. That's like personal. You're allowed to have a personal preference of what kind of music you like. And here she was, criticizing his music because there wasn't enough female singers. As if that even matters. There's more female singers than male singers anyway. What's the deal? Like, what's her problem? But I can tell right away that's not the issue. The issue here is that she's a very dominating and controlling woman, and he has it in his head that he should be grateful to have her as his wife. He has the complex that I've heard some people call putting the pussy on a pedestal. He basically said, I have this wife now and she is my God. The Armored Skeptic recently made this video saying that feminism was Steve Shives' God. No. No. It's his wife, and she's using feminism as a way to guilt and manipulate him into doing what she wants and to control him. But he's a fool anyway for allowing anybody else to do that. And a lot of people say, oh, he's whipped. I don't think he's necessarily whipped, because I've seen women who do this. I've had a few best friends who've done this, where all of a sudden they get a significant other, and everything that made them who they are has to be molded around the will of this significant other. Let me tell you something. That is a very unhealthy relationship. Right there. I mean, I'm seeing Steve Shives' wife, and I'm seeing the way she looks at him, like, with this, this, like, nastiness. She seems like a very nasty woman. And then there was another video where she was actually in the background. She wasn't in the video, like, the back of her head was there. And he was parroting a bunch of social justice rhetoric. And in the back, you can see her little head going, that's right, that's what I told him to say, and he's saying it. So basically, I see her as the Yoko Ono of Steve Shives' YouTube channel. Just by seeing that small glimpse into their relationship, you know who runs the show. You know who has the low, depleted sense of self-esteem, so much to the point where they're like, oh, yes, master, anything you say, master, I'll do whatever. You can tell that that's the way he is with his wife. And it's cringy and weird. And it's making a lot of people lose respect for him. And I think eventually his channel is just going to peter out and just go, you know? And then they're probably going to get a divorce. I give their marriage like maybe 15 years, and they'll end up divorced, and he'll end up like a MGTOW or something. You know, he'll find some other belief system so that he can commit to what other people think he should think instead of thinking on his own. So that's my opinion of the whole Steve Shives things. I think it's really atrocious, and it's really horrible to watch. But yes, Steve Shives' wife is the Yoko Ono of YouTube.